the luxury you can't see, invisible riches. According to Solomon, discovering the hidden treasures that outshine gold and precious stones in the gleaming halls of ancient Jerusalem, where golden shields lined the walls and silver was as common as stones in the streets. King Solomon possessed something far more precious than all his visible wealth combined. While visitors from distant lands marveled at his material splendor, Solomon understood a profound truth that escaped most observers. The greatest luxuries in life are completely invisible to the human eye. The king who accumulated more material wealth than perhaps any ruler in history spent his later years writing about riches that couldn't be counted, weighed, or displayed in treasury rooms. Through his proverbs, reflections, and hard-won wisdom, Solomon revealed a sophisticated understanding of invisible wealth that modern science is only beginning to validate. These hidden treasures, he discovered, were not only more valuable than material possessions, but were actually the source from which all other forms of prosperity flowed. Solomon's teachings about invisible riches challenge our contemporary obsession with external markers of success. In a world increasingly focused on displaying wealth through social media and material acquisitions, his ancient wisdom offers a revolutionary perspective. The richest people are often those whose greatest treasures remain completely hidden from public view. The supreme invisible luxury, wisdom. Solomon's most profound insight was recognizing wisdom as the ultimate form of invisible wealth. When offered anything he desired by the divine, his choice of wisdom over material riches revealed an understanding that intelligence, discernment, and good judgment are luxuries that multiply every other form of wealth while providing satisfaction that material possessions can never deliver. Unlike gold or silver, wisdom appreciates rather than depreciates over time. The more it's used, the more valuable it becomes. Solomon observed that a wise person with modest material resources would consistently outperform a fool with vast inheritance, because wisdom transforms every situation into an opportunity for growth and improvement. The luxury of wisdom manifests in countless invisible ways: the ability to avoid costly mistakes that others repeatedly make, the capacity to see opportunities that remain hidden to others, the skill to navigate complex relationships and situations with grace and effectiveness. Solomon noted that wisdom brings its owner honor, influence, and respect that no amount of money can purchase. Wisdom also provides the invisible luxury of perspective. While others struggle with anxiety about circumstances beyond their control, the wise person understands the difference between problems that can be solved and situations that must be accepted. This discernment creates an inner wealth of peace and confidence that remains stable regardless of external circumstances. The compounding nature of wisdom makes it the most profitable long-term investment anyone can make. Each wise decision creates conditions for future success, while each display of good judgment builds reputation and trust that open doors to new opportunities. Solomon understood that wisdom pays dividends not just financially but in every area of life, creating riches that are both invisible and invaluable. The wealth of inner peace. Perhaps no invisible luxury troubled Solomon more in his later years than the absence of inner peace, which led him to value it above all material possessions. His reflections in Ecclesiastes reveal a man who discovered that anxiety, restlessness, and inner turmoil can make even the most luxurious circumstances feel like poverty. Inner peace represents a form of wealth that no external circumstances can take away. The person who possesses deep tranquility carries luxury wherever they go, finding contentment in simple pleasures while remaining unshaken by temporary setbacks or changes in fortune. Solomon observed that this invisible treasure often belongs more to the humble farmer than to the ambitious king. The luxury of peace manifests as freedom from the constant mental chatter that plagues most minds. While others exhaust themselves with worry, regret, and anxiety about the future, those rich in peace enjoy the present moment fully. They sleep deeply, eat with pleasure, and find joy in simple daily activities that others take for granted. Solomon learned that inner peace cannot be purchased with money or achieved through external accomplishments. It grows from accepting what cannot be changed, focusing energy on what can be influenced, and maintaining faith that underlying order exists even in apparently chaotic circumstances. This invisible wealth provides a foundation of stability that enables all other forms of success. The practical benefits of inner peace are enormous but often unrecognized. Peaceful people make better decisions because their judgment isn't clouded by emotional turbulence. They build stronger relationships because others feel calm and safe in their presence. They maintain better health because chronic stress doesn't ravage their bodies. Yet this tremendous wealth remains completely invisible to casual observation. The treasure of authentic relationships. Solomon's wisdom revealed that genuine relationships represent a form of invisible wealth that far exceeds the value of material possessions. His proverbs repeatedly emphasize that having people who truly know, accept, and support you creates riches that money cannot buy and poverty cannot steal. The luxury of authentic relationships begins with being truly known and accepted. While many people accumulate acquaintances who are attracted to their possessions, status, or what they can provide, few experience the deep satisfaction of being valued for who they are rather than what they have. Solomon observed that this authentic acceptance creates a sense of belonging and security that no amount of material wealth can provide. True friendship offers the invisible luxury of honest feedback and wise counsel. While wealth often surrounds people with those who tell them what they want to hear, authentic relationships provide the invaluable gift of truth spoken in love. Solomon noted that faithful are the wounds of a friend, recognizing that correction from someone who genuinely cares creates growth opportunities unavailable elsewhere. The wealth of relationships also includes the luxury of shared joy and supported sorrow. Celebrations become more meaningful when shared with people who genuinely care about your success, while difficulties become more bearable when faced with trusted companions. Solomon observed that shared pleasure is doubled while shared pain is halved, creating emotional wealth that multiplies happiness and divides suffering. Authentic relationships provide the invisible treasure of legacy through lives touched and influenced. While material wealth often disappears within a few generations, the impact of genuine love and investment in others creates ripple effects that extend far beyond any individual lifetime. Solomon understood that the relationships we build become the most enduring form of wealth we can create. The trust that flows from authentic relationships creates practical advantages that money cannot purchase. People with deep relationships have access to opportunities, information, and support that remain unavailable to those who rely solely on financial resources. This invisible network of mutual care and assistance represents a form of wealth that appreciates over time. The luxury of character and integrity. Solomon recognized that character represents a form of invisible wealth that provides luxury in ways that material possessions never can. A person of integrity carries treasures that remain unaffected by market fluctuations, political changes, or economic upheavals, creating stability and satisfaction that external circumstances cannot touch. The luxury of character begins with the invisible treasure of self-respect. When your actions align with your values and your words match your deeds, you carry an inner wealth of confidence and dignity that no external validation can provide, or criticism can destroy. Solomon observed that this internal approval creates freedom from the exhausting need to prove worth through external achievements or acquisitions. Integrity provides the invisible luxury of simplified living. When you consistently tell the truth, keep commitments, and treat others fairly, life becomes remarkably uncomplicated. There are no lies to remember, no broken promises to manage, and no relationship conflicts to navigate around hidden agendas. This simplicity creates mental and emotional space for enjoying life's genuine pleasures. Character also delivers the hidden wealth of reputation and trust. While these assets don't appear on financial statements, they open doors, create opportunities, and attract quality relationships in ways that money alone cannot achieve. Solomon noted that a good name is more valuable than great riches because it creates advantages that money cannot purchase, and provides security that material wealth cannot guarantee. The luxury of character includes freedom from the hidden costs of compromised integrity. While others pay invisible prices through guilt, anxiety, damaged relationships, and complicated circumstances created by poor choices, people of character enjoy the wealth of clear consciences and simplified lives. These hidden savings often exceed any financial gains that might come from compromising values. Character provides the invisible treasure of influence and impact. People naturally gravitate toward and follow those they trust and respect, creating leadership opportunities that no amount of money can buy. Solomon understood that influence built on character creates lasting positive change, while influence based solely on wealth or position remains temporary and often ineffective. The riches of knowledge and understanding beyond wisdom's practical applications. Solomon valued knowledge and understanding as forms of invisible wealth that provide ongoing luxury and satisfaction. The educated mind carries treasures that can be enjoyed anywhere, anytime, and cannot be stolen, lost, or destroyed by external circumstances. The luxury of knowledge manifests as the ability to understand and appreciate the world's complexity and beauty. While others see only surface appearances, the knowledgeable person recognizes deeper patterns, connections, and meanings that transform ordinary experiences into sources of wonder and delight. Solomon observed that learning multiplies the pleasure available in any situation. Understanding provides the invisible wealth of perspective that enables graceful navigation of life's challenges. When you comprehend the historical, cultural, and psychological factors that influence human behavior, you're less likely to take things personally or react emotionally to difficult situations. This understanding creates emotional freedom and relational effectiveness that money cannot purchase. Knowledge also delivers the hidden treasure of creative capacity. The more you know about different fields, cultures, and perspectives, the more creative connections you can make. This invisible wealth enables innovation, problem-solving, and artistic expression that provide both practical benefits and personal satisfaction unavailable to those with limited understanding. The compound interest of learning creates invisible wealth that grows exponentially over time. Each new piece of knowledge connects with existing understanding to create insights and capabilities that exceed the sum of their parts. Solomon recognized that investment in learning provides returns that continue accumulating throughout an entire lifetime. Educational wealth provides the luxury of meaningful conversation and deep connection with others. When you can engage thoughtfully on various topics and understand different perspectives, social interactions become richer and more satisfying. This invisible treasure enhances relationships and creates opportunities for influence and impact that extend far beyond material considerations. The hidden wealth of time mastery. Solomon's reflections on time reveal his understanding that how we manage our hours represents one of the most significant forms of invisible wealth. His famous observation that there is a time for everything reflects a sophisticated appreciation for time as a luxury that, properly understood and managed, creates riches in every area of life. The luxury of time mastery begins with the invisible treasure of prioritization. While most people feel constantly rushed and overwhelmed, those who understand time's true value make deliberate choices about how to invest their hours. Solomon observed that the ability to distinguish between urgent and important, temporary and eternal, creates a wealth of effectiveness and satisfaction. Time wealth includes the luxury of presence and mindfulness. Rather than constantly worrying about the future or regretting the past, those rich in time awareness fully inhabit each moment. This invisible treasure transforms routine activities into opportunities for joy, connection, and growth that others miss while mentally residing elsewhere. The mastery of timing provides hidden advantages in every area of life. Solomon noted that there is a time to speak and a time to be silent, a time to act and a time to wait. Those who understand these rhythms enjoy the invisible wealth of effectiveness that comes from aligned action, while others exhaust themselves fighting against natural timing. Time luxury also manifests as the wealth of rest and reflection. While others feel guilty about downtime or fill every moment with activity, those who understand time's value recognize that rest, contemplation, and strategic inactivity often create more value than constant busyness. Solomon observed that this invisible discipline enables sustained effectiveness over long periods. The luxury of time perspective provides emotional wealth that cushions life's temporary difficulties. When you understand that current circumstances are part of larger cycles and patterns, immediate problems lose their power to create despair or panic. This invisible treasure of temporal awareness creates resilience and hope that sustain people through challenging seasons. The wealth of emotional intelligence. Solomon's observations about human nature reveal his understanding that emotional intelligence represents a sophisticated form of invisible wealth that creates luxury in relationships, leadership, and personal satisfaction. The ability to understand, manage, and effectively respond to emotions, both your own and others, provides advantages that money cannot buy. The luxury of emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness and self-regulation. While others are controlled by their moods, reactions, and impulses, those rich in emotional understanding can choose their responses thoughtfully. Solomon observed that he who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city, recognizing self-control as a supreme form of invisible wealth. Emotional wealth includes the luxury of empathy and social awareness. The ability to understand what others are feeling, thinking, and needing creates advantages in every relationship and situation. This invisible treasure enables effective communication, conflict resolution, and influence that remain unavailable to those who lack emotional sophistication. The wealth of emotional intelligence provides the hidden treasure of resilience and adaptability. When you understand that emotions are temporary experiences rather than permanent realities, setbacks become less devastating and successes less intoxicating. This perspective creates emotional stability that enables consistent performance regardless of circumstances. Emotional luxury also manifests as the ability to create positive atmospheres and influence the emotional state of groups and individuals. Those rich in emotional intelligence can lift spirits, resolve tensions, and inspire hope in ways that create value for everyone involved. Solomon understood that this invisible capability often determines the success or failure of relationships, projects, and organizations. The compound effect of emotional intelligence creates invisible wealth that grows throughout life. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to practice and refine emotional skills, creating increasing sophistication and effectiveness. This invisible investment pays dividends in every area of life, from intimate relationships to professional success. The invisible luxury of purpose and meaning. Solomon's later writings reveal his deep understanding that purpose and meaning represent forms of invisible wealth that provide satisfaction unavailable through any material acquisition. His search for meaning, chronicled in Ecclesiastes, demonstrates both the poverty of purposeless wealth and the riches available to those who find their calling. The luxury of purpose begins with the invisible treasure of direction and focus. While others scatter their energy across various pursuits without clear intention, those rich in purpose can channel their efforts toward meaningful goals. Solomon observed that this focus creates effectiveness and satisfaction that random activity cannot provide, regardless of how successful individual efforts might be. Meaningful work provides the hidden wealth of intrinsic motivation and sustained energy. When your daily activities align with your deeper values and contribute to something larger than yourself, work becomes a source of joy rather than drudgery. This invisible treasure transforms the largest portion of most people's lives from obligation into opportunity. Purpose also delivers the luxury of perspective during difficult seasons. When you understand how current challenges contribute to larger goals and meanings, temporary setbacks become more bearable. Solomon noted that those who see their lives as part of bigger stories can endure hardships that would crush others who lack this invisible framework. The wealth of meaning includes the treasure of legacy and impact. When your life is oriented toward purposes that transcend personal benefit, every day becomes an opportunity to create value that outlasts your own existence. This invisible wealth provides satisfaction that material accumulation cannot match and creates motivation that external pressures cannot sustain. Purpose provides the hidden luxury of authenticity and alignment. When your external actions reflect your internal values and deeper calling, life becomes remarkably integrated and satisfying. Solomon understood that this harmony between inner purpose and outer expression creates a wealth of personal fulfillment that remains unavailable to those living divided lives. The hidden treasure of health and vitality. Solomon's proverbs reveal his understanding that health represents a form of invisible wealth that enables the enjoyment of all other forms of riches. His observations about the body, lifestyle, and wellness demonstrate sophisticated awareness that physical and mental health create luxuries that no amount of money can purchase once they're lost. The luxury of health begins with the invisible treasure of energy and vitality. While others struggle with fatigue, illness, and physical limitations, those rich in health can pursue their goals with enthusiasm and persistence. Solomon observed that a cheerful heart is good medicine, recognizing the connection between emotional and physical wellness that creates compound benefits. Health wealth includes the luxury of physical pleasure and sensory enjoyment. The ability to taste food fully, sleep deeply, move without pain, and experience physical comfort represents riches that money cannot restore once health is compromised. This invisible treasure enables the enjoyment of simple pleasures that remain unavailable to those whose health has been damaged. The wealth of health provides the hidden advantage of mental clarity and emotional stability. When your body functions well, your mind operates more effectively and your emotions remain more balanced. Solomon understood that physical wellness creates conditions for success in every other area of life, making health a foundational form of invisible wealth. Health luxury also manifests as freedom from the hidden costs of illness and dysfunction. While others spend time, money, and energy managing health problems, those rich in wellness can invest these resources in growth, relationships, and meaningful pursuits. This invisible savings often exceeds any financial returns available through other investments. The compound nature of health creates invisible wealth that either appreciates or depreciates based on daily choices. Solomon's teachings about moderation, exercise, and self-care reflect his understanding that health investment pays returns throughout an entire lifetime, while health neglect creates costs that compound exponentially over time. The wealth of spiritual connection. Solomon's spiritual journey, from the heights of divine wisdom to the valleys of questioning and back to faith, reveals his understanding that spiritual connection represents the deepest form of invisible wealth. His relationship with the divine provided luxuries that no earthly possession could match and sustained him through seasons when material success felt empty. The luxury of spiritual connection begins with the invisible treasure of transcendent perspective. When you understand your life as part of something larger than immediate circumstances, temporary problems lose their power to create despair. Solomon observed that this eternal viewpoint creates resilience and hope that sustain people through any difficulty. Spiritual wealth includes the luxury of unconditional love and acceptance. The awareness of being known, loved, and valued by the Creator provides security that no human relationship or achievement can match. This invisible treasure creates confidence and worth that remains stable regardless of external validation or criticism. The wealth of spiritual connection provides the hidden treasure of guidance and wisdom beyond human understanding. Solomon's famous request for wisdom reflects his recognition that divine insight exceeds human intelligence and provides direction that leads to outcomes beyond what planning alone can achieve. Spiritual luxury also manifests as the treasure of peace and rest that comes from trusting in purposes larger than personal control. When you believe that underlying order and meaning exist even in apparently chaotic circumstances, anxiety decreases and contentment increases. Solomon understood that this invisible peace creates wealth of soul that material possessions cannot provide. The compound nature of spiritual investment creates invisible wealth that grows through practice and surrender. Each act of faith, prayer, or spiritual discipline builds connection and understanding that provides increasing access to transcendent resources. This invisible wealth often becomes most valuable during seasons when all other forms of riches seem insufficient. The hidden luxury of freedom. Solomon's observations about freedom reveal his understanding that liberty represents one of the most precious forms of invisible wealth. His proverbs and reflections demonstrate sophisticated awareness that true freedom from debt, addiction, unhealthy relationships, and limiting beliefs creates luxuries that money cannot buy and circumstances cannot steal. The luxury of freedom begins with the invisible treasure of choice and autonomy. While others feel trapped by circumstances, obligations, or dependencies, those rich in freedom can choose their responses, directions, and priorities. Solomon observed that this autonomy creates satisfaction and effectiveness that remain unavailable to those controlled by external forces. Financial freedom provides the hidden wealth of reduced anxiety and increased options. When you're not worried about money or dependent on specific income sources, decisions can be made based on values and preferences rather than financial pressure. This invisible treasure transforms work from necessity into choice and enables generosity that creates additional satisfaction. The wealth of freedom includes liberation from addictive patterns and destructive habits. Solomon warned repeatedly about the poverty created by lack of self-control, recognizing that addictions and compulsions rob people of their freedom to choose and their ability to enjoy life's genuine pleasures. Relational freedom provides the luxury of authentic connection without manipulation, control, or codependency. When relationships are based on choice rather than need, they become sources of joy rather than obligation. Solomon understood that this invisible treasure enables both giving and receiving love without the hidden costs that characterize unhealthy relationship patterns. The compound effect of freedom creates invisible wealth that multiplies over time. Each choice made from freedom rather than compulsion builds and capability for future choices. This invisible investment in autonomy pays dividends throughout life in the form of increased satisfaction, effectiveness, and authentic living. The invisible riches of contentment. Perhaps Solomon's most profound discovery was that contentment represents the ultimate form of invisible wealth, providing luxury regardless of external circumstances. His journey from material excess to spiritual insight taught him that satisfaction comes not from having more but from wanting what you already possess. The luxury of contentment begins with the invisible treasure of gratitude and appreciation. While others constantly focus on what they lack, those rich in contentment find joy in present blessings. Solomon observed that this perspective transforms ordinary experiences into sources of satisfaction and creates wealth of spirit that external accumulation cannot match. Contentment provides the hidden wealth of reduced striving and increased presence. When you're satisfied with current circumstances while remaining open to growth opportunities, life becomes less frantic and more enjoyable. This invisible treasure enables full participation in each moment, rather than constant preoccupation with future acquisitions or achievements. The wealth of contentment includes freedom from the exhausting cycle of desire, acquisition, temporary satisfaction, and renewed desire that characterizes most people's relationship with material possessions. Solomon noted that this cycle creates more poverty than wealth, as satisfaction remains perpetually just beyond the next purchase or achievement. Contentment luxury also manifests as the ability to enjoy simple pleasures fully. When you're not constantly seeking greater stimulation or more impressive experiences, ordinary moments become sources of genuine joy. This invisible wealth transforms daily life from routine into celebration. The compound nature of contentment creates invisible riches that grow through practice and perspective. Each moment of satisfaction with present circumstances builds capacity for future contentment, creating a wealth of spirit that becomes increasingly independent of external conditions. The integration of invisible wealth. Solomon's ultimate wisdom was recognizing that invisible riches work synergistically, creating compound luxury that exceeds the sum of individual treasures. Wisdom enables better relationships, which provide emotional support for health, which creates energy for meaningful work, which builds character, which generates trust, which opens opportunities for impact, which creates purpose, which sustains spiritual growth. This integration of invisible wealth creates luxury that remains stable regardless of external circumstances. While material possessions can be lost, stolen, or destroyed, the invisible riches of character, relationships, wisdom, health, and spiritual connection provide resources that grow stronger through use and become more valuable over time. The practical implications of Solomon's understanding challenge contemporary culture's focus on external markers of success. His wisdom suggests that the richest people are often those whose greatest treasures remain completely hidden from public view, while those who appear wealthy through material display may actually be impoverished in the areas that matter most. The development of invisible wealth requires different strategies than material accumulation. Instead of focusing on acquisition, it requires cultivation. Instead of competition, it involves collaboration. Instead of consumption, it demands contribution. Solomon's model suggests that true luxury comes from becoming valuable rather than owning valuables. The legacy of invisible wealth extends far beyond individual benefit. Character, wisdom, love, and purpose create influences that ripple through generations, communities, and cultures in ways that material inheritance cannot match. Solomon understood that the invisible riches we develop become gifts we give to the world, creating value that outlasts any individual lifetime.